Oh, yeah. Oh, it's been a while. Live
Yeah, there it is, baby.
from a stack of DEI-hating lead independent directors dipped in milk chocolate. It's an all-new Whacky Wednesday edition of Business Pants, joined by Analyst-Hole Matt Moscardi. Whoa!
I'm not going to lie. You dip a DEI-hating lead independent director in chocolate, it improves the situation.
On today's Twizzler-shaped proxy voting policy called February 12th, 2025, Biz Nuggets!
Biz Nuggets. Yeah, let's do it. I love Biz Nuggets.
Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFlowAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free.
I had a friend. I talked to a friend the other day.
Oh, you have a friend. Oh, yeah, let's hear about it. Let's hear about
that's
your
the
made-up
news.
friend.
That's the nugget, actually.
Is your
today.
friend named ChatGPT?
They actually said, they asked me, like, wait, I was listening to the podcast and you said that data was free on freeflowanalytics.com.
Because we have no business acumen, Matt.
And I said, yeah, a lot. Like, if you want, like, deep knowledge maps, historical data, deeper performance data, that's all not free, right? Okay, we got to make money somehow.
Matt,
but the data is basically free. It's free.
We are a perfect lesson in what happens when you put two analyst research types with creative arts backgrounds in charge of a company. We charge for free for things. That's.
I know. We're like, nobody's gonna really want this, so make it free.
Ready? You ready for some fun?
Yeah.
None of it's fun. None of it's fun.
Good. Kick us off.
I'm kicking us off with 5 headlines from DEI, the DEI world.
Ooh, I got a bunch too.
In our Hey Ma, civil rights hurts my back, and equal rights gave me a stomachache. I quit. Tell Dad. Headline of the week. Diversity is no longer a factor for assessing U.S. boards, Proxy advisor ISS says.
I mean, finally, right? Finally.
And they gave it a good few years, right?
It was a good run.
The good news, Matt, is they didn't actually give a reason. They just sort of stopped.
My favorite part of that headline is it says assessing U.S. boards. Like that's something they did anyway.
Moving on.
Do they assess a board?
I don't really know what they're doing, to be honest. In our white men have scarier lawyers. Headline of the week. White men have scarier lawyers.
That's true. Yeah, I heard it. I heard it when he said it. Yeah.
Goldman Sachs ends IPO diversity policy, citing legal developments.
This is misleading.
Because Goldman Sachs has never been sued by anybody before, Matt.
Their IPO diversity policy, I remember this show was on when they announced it.
We championed it.
I laughed at it because every single company that they IPO'd fit the diversity policy.
It was one person? What was it?
It was like they needed at least one woman on the board.
So now so all bros is A-okay? Because they might get
legal
sued?
developments mean
Who's
we just
suing
can't
them?
have the policy, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Goldman
stupid.
Sachs, why don't you wander down the hall with a cup of coffee and then find your legal team? They'll help you out. They'll help you out if anyone sues you for this.
Did you see your CEO's own quote like 2 days ago who said, given that companies are staying private, there are likely to be no more IPOs anyway? Like, what are we scrapping a policy that doesn't
or you can
matter?
just give up. Just give up.
Just give up, yeah.
In our Are they atrophied and unprepared enough to ignore this study? Headline of the week. Microsoft study finds AI makes human cognition atrophied and unprepared.
Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't read the study.
Microsoft, Matt, the company heavily invested in such ventures as OpenAI, finds AI makes human cognition atrophied and unprepared.
Those are two different things. How we invest the amount of money we spend developing AI is very different from the fact that it ruins humanity.
My question is, have they been sitting on this study for a while and they released it now because they realize that humanity is just stupid enough to accept it and they won't be able to figure it out?
Don't you mean humanity is stupid enough to have not been able to read the headline in the first place? Because there's no way they're reading this
Atrophied and unprepared. In our ISS borrows mission accomplished banner from George W. Bush headline of the week. Proxy advisory firm ISS removes DEI factors from voting recommendations for U.S. sports. Wait, I already did that headline. What am I doing?
You doubled it.
It's a different joke.
I'm doing it also because it's so funny.
Do you think they had that mission accomplished banner at their headquarters? Imagine how proud they are today. Must be a good day. Removes DEI factors from voting recommendations.
I just love the idea that they actually make real recommendations and or do real assessments.
Were they first of all, they don't have our data unless they're using it for free. Actually, I don't really know. So how exactly were they using data to support their board voting policies, Matt?
How often do you see someone announce that they're removing a factor or a data set from decision making?
Despite the massive contract that you sign with us annually, we're going to be doing a little bit less work this year.
Don't worry. We've made it a little easier on ourselves. Next year, there's only a 5% increase in costs.
The dilemma is, do we actually give a shit? Or were we merely pretending to give a shit? Ooh. Headline of the week. There is a DEI dilemma taking place across corporate America.
Yeah.
That is the dilemma, though, right? We're kind of figuring out who was faking it, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with most were pretending to give a shit, though, right? Don't we know that, right? Right.
A couple more headlines from the meritocracy before I hand off. The meritocracy is plastic. Headline of the week. In a move to back to plastic, Trump bans paper straws. Trump and Musk. They're banning paper straws. They hate paper straws.
They hate,
What an insipid world we live in.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Paper straws did suck. They weren't great.
No pun intended. I could care less. Who are we babies that we need to be buying drinks and sucking it through a straw? Just drink it. Drink it like an adult. Tip it. Use gravity. Okay.
The real problem here is that, like this is what we're spending our time on. Stop it.
The meritocracy is super duper confusing, says a college dropout dude. Headline of the week. Ready for this one? Mark Zuckerberg warned employees to prepare for an intense year. He just laid off 3,600 workers, including some who had glowing reviews.
Oh.
So, how does that work, Matt? You're all in on the meritocracy, but you're laying off workers that you said were good? What are we doing? How does this?
Are they all black?
I don't know. Well, okay. Enough said. Yeah, all right. You have some headlines for us?
I don't actually know. I got some headlines. Okay, yeah. I'm going to start us off with something you've already talked about twice. But
yeah,
ISS.
Do it
anyway.
I'm hoping it's ISS because really, honestly, F ISS.
It is the greatest announcement they've ever had. In our ISS added, we also feel that voting recommendations on the basis of performance, skills, knowledge, fit, usefulness, age, height, ability to tie shoes, or familiarity with modern technology are unnecessary and potentially discriminatory against 85-year-old Uncle Gary, who will no longer be part of our future assessments. Headline of the week, ISS drops race gender from U.S. proxy voting.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because the only one that you actually you probably could sue on is age discrimination, right? But none of them have dropped their policy to they all kind of frown upon having too many old directors, don't they? Or in fact, a lot of companies, Matt, don't they have director retirement policies pegged to an age? Doesn't that seem?
Yeah, that seems ageist. That's ageist.
But that's fine. That's fine.
Also, They don't do voting recommendations on the basis of performance, skills.
Well, they don't have any way of measuring that.
Fit,
They have
usefulness.
zero way of measuring that.
They don't do it.
Unless
And
they
so
use our data here at Free Flow.
They're dropping
Analytics.
2 factors, race and gender, from U.S. proxy voting assessments of directors. What does that leave them with the other factors to assess directors? They don't have other factors except for tenure and age, do
Actually,
they?
you're wrong, because I think they've adopted a system like the NFL. I think they're going to do like standing high jump and like wingspan, that kind of thing.
So we need like a combine, like for directors.
Oh, I
going
wish.
forward.
Yeah. What else? Come on.
In our ISS added,
Ooh.
future assessments will no longer refer to predators, as that is disrespectful to the predators from the movie series Predator. Headline of the week.
Yeah.
Macy's calls Diddy an equal opportunity sexual predator in a bid to be dropped from a sexual assault lawsuit.
I don't really know what you're talking about. That headline is gobbledygook to me. What does that mean?
Macy's apparently was named in a lawsuit against Diddy because there was an attack in a Macy's.
Oh.
And Macy's
what?
is saying
Yeah? Okay.
that because the attack was a male-on-male attack, it was an equal opportunity
Stop.
sexual predator. They
No,
shouldn't.
no.
Their policies.
That's not real.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. It's the most bizarre thing.
Wow. Good look,
I would-
Macy's.
I do like the idea that ISS will no longer refer to predators as predator because of the movie Predators, though. That, to me, is the best part. of it.
Whatever ISS says, I'm all here for it. What else you got?
Oh, well, I got something else ISS said.
Good.
In our ISS added, our policy has also changed to ignore legal cases in favor of diversity as material, as we feel someone might disagree with a law that says diversity is material, and that would be awkward for our clients. Headline of the week. Companies like Costco have a strong legal case for keeping DEI.
Oh, so Goldman Sachs didn't have to bail out immediately? They actually could have. They could have kicked the can around the room for a little while.
Apparently, ISS could have kept race and gender as part of their U.S. proxy voting because there's a legal basis for it.
Yeah. Instead of studying the issue, let's just bail, right? ISS.
More on ISS here.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh, I
lot
like
of
it.
news
I like
around
it.
ISS today.
Because
In our-
after all, FIS, F-I-S-S.
In our ISS added, they will also be ignoring wildfires, sea level rise, drought, famine, floods, mudslides, tornadoes, hurricanes, communicable diseases, and the puppy dog eyes of children dying of famine in future reports. Headline of the week, SEC moves to kill climate disclosure rule.
Yeah.
Doesn't that mean ISS has to remove any climate from its U.S. proxy voting?
I would think so. Not a real risk, because they could be sued for it, so it's not an actual risk.
What is left that
important.
you do, ISS?
not actually
what
important.
do you actually? So you don't do climate. You don't do the people who are on the boards. You don't do risks associated with the company. What is
Matt,
your job?
I'm looking
What
at
do
their
you do?
website right now. What it says they do is that they overcharge their clients for something that Free Flow Analytics could actually provide for a much lower cost. I think that's what
Bingo!
it says. Yeah.
Finally, in our ISS headlines.
Yeah.
In our ISS added, yes, we bought one. Headline of the week. Shopify takes down Yee's website selling swastika shirts after Super Bowl ad.
I was hoping you wouldn't talk about this. Can we just move forward? You know,
Moving on.
I did see a headline that I didn't open it because it just makes me ill. That Shopify did not take the website down because of the swastikas. It was because they were worried about like fraud or counterfeit or something like that. I don't know what's going on at Shopify.
They said it
I don't know what's going on.
contravened their policies, and there was
I
a
don't know.
community piece of that.
I don't know.
I
what's
think I
going
read.
on. Yeah, keep going.
Finally, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah.
In our new advisor to the board, Nelson Peltz, has advised
Speaking
we
of
rebrand.
racists,
has advised we rebrand our inclusion policy as black people should be cast as drug dealers, but we chose reapplying yesterday's comedic racism. Headline of the week. Disney drops controversial Reimagine Tomorrow program as company pares back DEI initiatives.
Good for you, Disney.
Was the imagining part woke? Like what?
Tomorrow's pretty woke because after all, Matt, tomorrow never comes. It's always a day away. It's never here.
It is always.
So it's a pretty woke
a day
concept,
away. Yeah,
right?
I think Annie said that.
It's like a poet came up with that. It's bullshit. All right, I got a few more headlines here for you. These are some random thoughts. In our headline prefers nouns over names because names are TMI. Headline of the week. 3M CEO named new chairman of the board. I like making fun of these headlines because what are you doing? What are we learning here? I mean, are these Lego pieces? Are these real people, Matt? Is there a real man or woman who actually runs 3M? I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know. I think we should just insert random nouns where it's like 3M dinosaur named new chairman of the board. Because what's the difference?
Well, maybe this is what ISS should do next. Maybe they should drop using the actual names of CEOs because they could get sued, right? I mean, they might. That's
true,
right? It might be too much information about the David Solomon at Goldman Sachs, right? You wouldn't want to reveal anything.
Isn't it like, like a Major League Baseball? You have to like license their name and their stats or something?
And our greedy airline CEOs want in on budding oligarchy, headline of the week. Major airlines urge Trump administration to abandon passenger compensation review. So this is the previous administration, Matt, remember they passed these incredible laws that if your plane is canceled or delayed, the airlines actually have to pay you your money back for your tickets.
Yeah, but I actually like your joke better because I didn't think about this, but you're absolutely right that like, isn't there a lot of people out there being like, I want to be an oligarch? And
what about us?
Like, what about us? Like we're shuffling around and trying to figure out how do I position myself for a future oligarchy?
The other half is being donated to AI's world domination, ensuring the need for the other half of the wealth to be donated in the
wow.
You'll get the joke when I get the headline of the week. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and husband pledge to donate half their wealth, Matt, half their wealth. You see how it works? Huh? They need half to ruin the world, and then they're going to donate the other half because the world's being ruined. See how it works? See how clever that is?
I just like billionaire multiple times over, Sam Altman, right? At this point.
It's going to only get more. It's only going to increase.
And it's going up. They are still, it's not sufficient to have $500 million. They can't have like $100 million.
No.
$500 million is their cutoff point. Or half of the wealth is what's
Matt,
the math?
They do need that wealth to make their wealth. Don't you get it? You don't understand how it works, do you?
I don't get it. How
about the cruel irony of the fact that they already realized before the game is over that they're going to need to give half of it back because they're going to be screwing over so many people. They know what they're doing is going to screw people over.
Good planning. It'd
be one thing if they were 98 years old. In our Trump moves to halt $5 billion EV charging program because nobody is going to buy a car. They are going to buy helicopters and private jets. Headline of the week.
Oh,
this is a headline in a headline joke. I'm really going for it here. Trump blasts work from home policies, saying nobody is going to work from home. They are going to be going out playing tennis and playing golf. I mean, this quote alone, he should have lost the election. He thinks that people in their spare time, Matt, are playing tennis and golf.
No, he thinks that people don't do work from home.
But where is this tennis court and where are these golf courses? Who does he think Who does he think Americans are exactly?
Honestly, isn't he just talking to Brian Niccol, the new CEO of Starbucks?
He might be.
Who's commuting to Seattle from LA?
Brian might have his own tennis court. Yeah, he might be right.
So that's who he's talking about.
We will all be dead soon, and first class tickets don't grow on trees, so leave me alone. Headline of the week.
Oh.
BP set to scale back green investments as profits drop sharply.
I don't like that headline or that headline.
All right, I'll move on. This one's a little confusing, but I'm going to try to get it out anyway. In our Reid Hoffman doesn't want his son's pivot to vegetarianism to mean fewer cheeseburgers. Headline of the week. Okay, stay with me here.
Okay, I'm not with you. Okay.
Okay, his son's becoming a vegetarian, but he doesn't want that to mean he's going to eat less cheeseburgers. Here's the headline. Reid Hoffman doesn't want big tech's pivot from fact-checking to mean more misinformation.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I mean, what kind of a world is Reid Hoffman living in? What kind of a la-la land does he think he's living in?
Look, just because we're pivoting away from actually figuring out what facts are doesn't mean that there needs to be less facts.
He's a cute billionaire. And finally, in my horrible collection of Biz Nuggets, in our You Had Me at Unequal Shareholder Rights headline of the week, how unequal shareholder rights influence proxy voting outcomes in corporate governance. I mean,
yeah, well, you're in.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it the
every headline
unequal shareholder rights? Wouldn't that be how? I mean, what kind of a study do we need behind this? I don't really understand that.
I don't know. It is the dumbest study ever.
It is pretty dumb. Yeah. Why don't Matt? Right, you don't even have to answer this rhetorical question. Why the hell do we have unequal shareholder rights? How the hell did we get there in the first place?
I mean, that's what we have.
Can I blame ISS? Can I blame ISS for that?
Yeah, please do. Okay. That's not one of the factors they consider. That's woke. All right, let's finish this out.
Yeah, let's do it.
In our, when you say something is as strong as ever, and ever is really never, do you mean as strong as never? Headline of the week.
Yeah, I like this.
JP Morgan CEO says succession planning for CEO Jamie Dimon is strong as ever.
Right, the CFO says
CFO
planning
says
for
strong
CEO
as ever.
Strong. What is that? Yeah, what is it exactly? Does that mean that Jamie Dimon's lifting weights? Is that what that means? What does that mean?
How is this succession plan as strong as ever? Like our plan to replace somebody is super strong.
I think that really their plan is to make sure that he has a healthy diet because they want him to live forever. I think that's the plan.
Yeah, nobody's like, I thought they had 5 succession options and like it keeps whittling down to none because he keeps staying.
Here's their succession planning policy at JP Morgan. More oatmeal, less bagels.
I love that. I subscribe to the cosign. When we said hiring, we meant stealing, and by thousands, we meant your shit. Headline of the week.
Huh?
Elon Musk's XAI plans massive hiring spree of thousands to train Grok, employees say.
Oh, yeah, I don't buy that. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they just mean stealing spree.
Yeah.
To steal your shit.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how AI just goes around stealing all of our shit and ideas and data, but they need a lot of energy to do that? They need energy companies to give us a ton more energy to do that.
Yeah, and they need no regulations in order to steal it.
Well, yeah, we don't want to have, to regulate would be awkward. You're right.
I have my own headline inside a headline. Here we go. Ready? In our Kimball Musk sells Tesla stock worth $28 million as Elon's brother cashes in on rally since Trump's victory. Headline of the week.
I don't like anything you just said. Go ahead.
Wave of vandalism and protests hit Tesla.
Good. That's good. I don't usually like things like vandalism, but when Elon's brother is making $28 million for sitting around, that's it's pretty.
It does feel.
It's discouraging.
It feels like
it's discouraging.
There is a very distinct and abrupt turn away from Tesla vehicles. Like, there's not anybody who's buying them now is like a MAGA crowd, and that's it.
Well, our very own, I can report that our very own Jessie the Money Whisperer is finally getting rid of her Tesla. I think she said this month or next month. But I will say it's only because the lease is up, Jessie, so you don't get a victory for that.
I don't know. That's a victory.
I guess.
In our high school white male accuses middle school white male of insecurity. Headline of the week. Sam Altman says former friend Elon Musk isn't a happy guy, probably his whole life is from a position of insecurity.
Hey, yeah, he's not wrong, but yeah,
these are middle school boys talking to each other.
I don't know what to say.
What is happening?
Yeah.
They're all insecure.
Yeah.
This is absurd.
Yeah.
In fairness, Kimball Musk can only complete 29%, headline of the week.
Huh.
OpenAI's deep research can complete 26% of humanity's last exam, a benchmark for the frontier of human knowledge.
What is humanity's last exam? I don't even know what that is.
I'm not sure what that is either. I'm kind of curious to take it.
Does this mean that deep research is 26% there to like taking over humanity? Like it's like almost it's like getting there. Like it's like
yeah. I think it's they're
when it gets to
basically
100%,
saying,
we're screwed. Is that what's happening?
Look,
Humanity's last exam. I don't like the sound of that, Matt. I mean, do we want humanity's last anything to happen right now? I don't think I like this.
Well,
why is this all? This is the question I keep asking myself. Why? Who asked for AI? What are we doing? What's happening?
I did look up the like a question from humanity's last exam, and here's an ecology question. I thought I'd test you.
Go ahead.
Hummingbirds within apodiforms uniquely have a bilaterally paired oval bone.
Yeah.
A sesamoid embedded in the caudolateral portion of the expanded cruciate aponeurosis of insertion of M. depressor codae.
True.
How many paired tendons are supported by this sesamoid bone? Answer with a number.
False.
How is that on humanity's last exam?
Well,
how is that a question?
Again, I think I'm right. I think when AI gets this exam right, we're all done. We're all done for because they're going to figure out how to completely overwhelm us with nonsense.
I mean, like the exam includes things like biblical Hebrew, and it includes
of course.
a base question in Greek mythology: who is Jason's maternal great grandfather? Like,
Matt, I already forgot who won the Super Bowl a few days ago, so don't ask me.
But let me ask you, have you ever, and I mean ever, been in a situation where knowing Jason and the Argonauts' maternal great-grandfather, that was key to your survival?
I think his name was Reed Hoffman. Come on, can you end this with something like upbeat or happy?
Yeah, no, this is pure...
Okay, good.
Like joy, okay?
Good.
In our... Finally, a white male CEO gets a chance without the oppression of rules, laws, and social norms. Headline of the week.
Oh.
Finally, criminal probe into WWE boss Vince McMahon dropped.
Oh.
Finally, a white male boss gets a chance.
So then, good. Does that mean that can we bring back DEI now that the white men have won? Can we bring it back? Because we kind of need it more than ever, don't we?
I think we need to ask Vince McMahon who Jason's maternal great-grandfather was in order for them to drop that. Let
me ask you this: Would ISS care that directors had criminal probes against them? Would that be a part of their system?
No, because that sounds like
it's like due diligence, like effort.
I don't know. I think that falls under race.
Yeah, and wokeism.
Yeah, maybe it's gendered. That's all we got.
I like that. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
That's Hazelnut Rawless. I'm your Analyst-Hole Matt Moscardi. We are Free Float. For more, come back on Friday. We're going to do a doubleheader on Friday. Or are we doing Thursday, Friday? I don't even know.
We could do Thursday and Friday. We'll see how we feel.
Actually, I'm going to be featured on our other podcast run by Mike Levin and Ann Lipton, the Shareholder Primacy Podcast. If you're not listening to that, they're actually smart people. Ann Lipton is like a securities law professor, teaching you about the intricate details of securities law, not the arcane stuff, but the stuff like I read a headline today. She's like got the law behind it. She's the one who knows.
There's no Kimball Musk jokes in her repertoire.
In last episode, actually that dropped today, Mike Levin goes and discusses rational apathy for 15 minutes. Why investors don't vote their shares, the theory behind it. It's fascinating.
I like this.
So go check that out. Until then, good. Bye.